Recording started. Sharing the desktop. So hope you're able to see my desktop.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Fine. So I welcome you all to this new program, Generative AI. How are we going to design or run this program? Let's discuss. So basically, this is going to be a 1 year program, and okay, we are going to have 52 sessions on this, and each session will be 2 hours in duration. So totally, approximately, we have around 140 hours of discussion about Gen AI. Okay. So this is our focus going forward. Okay, what are the things that we are going to focus as we proceed further? Like we all have been using GenAI for the past, at least ChatGPT for the past 2 years, right? So I don't have to explain you the basics of like Gen AI, as we all have the hands-on experience. We are, like most of us have even stopped, like reduced using Google search by 90% at least, isn't it? So we have all been depending upon ChatGPT and Gemini, like mostly for our work. So when we talk about Gen AI, so there are two words, isn't it? One is generative. Another one is AI. Okay? So when we talk about generative, so what and all it can generate. So it can like generate text, and it can generate images. It can generate videos. And apart from this, it also has text to speech capability, and it also has speech to text capability. So anyone who has used this mobile version of ChatGPT, you might have experienced this. So they have a very good, conversational AI. Like these days, whenever I'm driving, like if no one is there to speak, I will just switch on this ChatGPT, that like conversational option. Then I can just talk with it. It is like a companion. I can discuss with it anything. So just like that, they have created. Yeah, a virtual humanoid, we can say. Still, robotics is yet to catch up, but at least from the software level, we are already there to some extent. So, whenever we discuss about Gen AI, there are two words that used to occur frequently. One is NLP. The full form is natural language processing, and the next one for people who dive deeper. Okay, so about the like model architectures and all, they might have heard about this transformer, right? So I will talk about this transformer, like algorithms and all later, okay, as we dive deeper into building our own models. But little bit while we, travel through this like GenAI sessions, okay, slowly we will cover the like transformer aspects little, so that by the time we reach that model discussion time, that session, so you will all be well prepared. Okay. So here, when we talk about this NLP, basically, it is about the like human languages, right? Natural language, and that is all it is actually all about. And this text is all about NLP. But the generative AI is not just about NLP. It's not about text, right? It also has the capability to generate images and understand images. Same goes with the videos. It can generate videos and understand videos. The publicly available commercial chat apps like ChatGPT and Gemini, they haven't explicitly started providing the video service, but at the API level, the video support is there. Now you can just provide a video. For example, the today's recording, that MP4 file, you can give it to Gemini and you can ask it to, like describe about all the concepts that has been discussed and in that video. It will be able to analyze and then it will be able to, provide us the info. Okay. So, that capability is already there in the API. So for non-programmers who doesn't know what is API, basically the API full form is application programming interface. Okay, so API. So this is the API. So when we need to, create one AI model, say for communication purposes, whether it is text or to generate images or to provide the images that we have to understand about those images, same goes with videos. We don't have to, create things from scratch, because as we know, we already have the models available, that we can use. So one, we have Gemini models. Another one, we have GPT models, right? So these two are most widely used models, and they are commercial. Right? So we can get the commercial license, and then we can use all kinds of APIs. So these models are hosted on their server. So if you talk about Gemini, it is hosted in Google data center, and if you take GPT, it is hosted in OpenAI infrastructure, and it can also be hosted in Azure. So the Azure has something called as Azure OpenAI. So in that we can create, and we can like deploy these models, and we can start using it for our business application purposes. So when we talk about this, like kind of models that we have. So basically we can, actually if it is like commercial, we have this Gemini and GPT most widely used. And there are also other kinds of model available. So these are all called, say, open source models. So these models are like non-commercial, so anyone can download and they can deploy it in their computer. If their computer, there are small models like small LLMs with few million parameters, which we can run it in our like laptop. But big models with billions of parameters, so they might need a little bit more involved infrastructure. Okay, so these open source models, like we can. Like deal with them. Okay, so they are like either you can use Hugging Face portal. So there they have these open source LLMs. So these are all already pre-trained and available there in the Hugging Face portal. Okay, so you can just go to huggingface.com and you can search for the available LLMs, and you can see small models to big models like Meta Llama. Okay, so like that, there are several models available. And apart from that, this Google, in this Google Cloud platform. So it has uh, something called as Vertex AI. In that Vertex AI, part of it, they also have something called as like AI Studio, Gen AI Studio. So there, like so they have this model garden. Okay, so in that like model garden, let me just move it here. So they have something called as model garden here. So the Gemini like models and all are there in this model garden. Apart from that, the like some of the open source like models, the AI models are also there. Right. So we will discuss about Vertex AI, and how to use it and all those things. Okay. So actually, you can use Gemini in two ways. Either you can directly use the Gemini API. So there is one Gen API, like Google's Gen AI SDK is there. I will show you how to use that. And so that is one way, or you can use that model through Vertex AI. Okay, so both I will explain, how to use it. And anyway, as I was talking about the SDK, let me also explain what this SDK mean. So the SDK means Software Development Kit. Software Development Kit. Hence the word SDK, right? So these models, okay, so like the models that we were discussing, the Gemini and GPT, these are all, as I said, these are all commercial models. So these models were developed by the companies like Google and OpenAI, and they have deployed it in their own data center. Okay, so data center is basically a huge network of computers that is connected to the internet. So there they have deployed these models, and they have exposed the API to access that model. So we can programmatically, since the API is basically a programming interface, as we discussed before, it is an application programming interface. So we can let me just delete this. Okay. So we can, programmatically, we can call this. So these APIs are basically REST APIs. It is called as RESTful API. So these RESTful APIs are, built on HTTP protocol, which is used for our regular browsing. Okay, so actually for our browsing in our web browsers, okay, whenever we try to access some web pages, in the background it actually uses this HTTP protocol. The full form is hypertext programming languages, as you know, and the content, so actually when our software tries to invoke the API of this like AI like models through this HTTP protocol, we need to send the request data, right? So that is given through JSON. Okay, so this JSON is actually the format that is used in the REST API. So we'll be, so the first lab that I'm going to show you is about this. Okay, so how to like call or like one of the like hosted model. Okay, let's take Gemini. Okay, so how to access the Gemini and call it directly. So to directly call this API, so you can either use curl command. So that is one option, or you can use Postman. The Postman is a graphical user interface application, so it is much more easier to work with. So it is just like any application that we have in our Windows or Linux machines. Curl is anyway a command, like it is a Linux command, so you can use the curl and you can run it. I prefer curl because it is easier for me to document in your lab guides. Okay, but I will also show you how to work with Postman also, right? So both we can explore. And this like JSON, anyway, its full form is JavaScript object notation. So this is a format that is used to store data in text files. So just like we used to have XML and YAML now, right? So these are all some of the formats. So the RESTful API is all about this. And the difference, so this like REST API is the low-level API. And for people who wants to have an easier way of interacting, they can go for SDK. Okay, the software development kit. The software development kit is basically built around API, this REST API. So they have this SDK for Python and Java and Golang, like that, all the major languages they have support for this SDK. Okay, so that way, it is easier. But I will show you both, how to use SDK. We'll be using, Python like SDK. Okay, but anyway, like other languages also similar, right? Okay, fine. So to summarize, oh, what is this? Okay, how can I undo? Is it not possible to undo? Okay, I can delete. Great. So this is the first time I'm using this Microsoft Whiteboard for our training programs. So the reason is, whatever we discuss, I can document and I can try to share this with you. I don't know whether it is possible to download and put it in our LMS. Hope they provide that option. I will find it out, or at least worst case I can put it like an image and like we can just use like refer to it later. Okay. So to like summarize, this generative AI, like we are going to spend the entire year, and we will be discussing every aspect of it. Okay. So what are the aspects that we are going to discuss? Let's just quickly talk about. So the basic thing is prompt engineering, and most of you like know how to interact with this chat GPT. So I don't have to talk much about prompt engineering. It is all about how to like use the words to talk with the model so that you can get like what you are looking for from these chat GPT and Gemini models, right? That's all this oh, I think I made a mistake, right? Okay, engineering. um, Okay, so that's all about it. I won't be, spending much time in prompt engineering unless you ask me to, work on it. But the next thing that we are going to work on, and which we'll be doing it from day one, is by using the API and the SDK. Okay, so we'll be starting with Gemini, and we'll be going to GPT. The reason why I'm starting with Gemini is, it is actually a personal reason. I have a good amount of Google Cloud credit with me, so I want to make sure that I fully utilize it. It is going to expire by first week of September, so that is the reason why I am going with Gemini first, so that I can show you all the aspects of Gemini free of cost. So after Gemini, definitely I will go to GPT also, and I will show you. So when it comes to GPT, I'll be using Azure OpenAI, and as well as like OpenAI like API directly. Both we will use, and I will show you. Okay, so this we can explore. So this part once it is completed. So this is all about so actually here it is more about understanding how to use the existing AI models to to automate several aspects of our business. Okay, so whatever we are doing with ChatGPT and Gemini, it's all about communication and getting information, and that's all right. But how to make a business sense out of it? So that comes only programmatically. So like whenever we are trying to create like automate the business processes, okay, so during that time how to use these AI models and how to automate various like workflows of the business. Okay, so like several workflows can be automated with the help of AI. So most of the businesses in this world are all, decent businesses. They're all automated already, right? But with the traditional software like development methodology. But now they all have to be re-engineered by adapting this AI. And the businesses, they don't have to create the models from scratch, which was the case before the transformer approach came into picture. Before the transformer or the Gen AI, okay, we used to collect data about that business, and we used to use TensorFlow and the PyTorch and the scikit-learn kind of like this MLAI libraries to create the customized models, and we used to try to automate. That is a complicated process. But now, we have this generative AI, especially ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a hosted service, a managed service, so we can directly use it. All we need to do is just call the APIs, and we can make it happen, right? So that is what we are actually going to cover first. And then another advantage of taking this approach is these two are well matured models that is available in our industry now, like along with the Meta's Llama model, which is actually a like open source model. So when we try to focus on this Gemini first, and then like ChatGPT, so basically we will be trying to understand the use cases and all the interfaces that big LLM will provide, whether it is vision, video, or so basically image or video or text. Okay, so whatever it is, so how they interact, what are the capabilities that they have. So once we understand this entire use case at the API level, then when we go into the open source models, so when we go into the open source models, so here we'll be able to understand the functionalities, right? Because already we have mastered two like major models in the industry, Gemini and GPT. So when we go to these open source models, then we know, what to expect from them. So the difference between these like managed models and the open source models, one common difference is uh, the deployment management, right? Okay, in case of the Gemini and GPT, it's the deployment is managed by Google and OpenAI. But when we go to the open source models, we will be responsible for it, right? So it is already trained, and these open source models, there are hundreds of open source models are available, from small tiny models to big models, hundreds of models are there. So you can take some tiny model and you can attach it and run it on your mobile itself, so that kind of applications are possible. And then you can run it in your laptop, or you can run it in a big server. Okay, so okay, that part also we need to cover, because we have, like most of the people here have a very good infrastructure background, and the companies might be, like little bit scared to use the public models, just like the cloud, right? When the cloud came into picture, the business was scared about using cloud computing, because they don't want to expose their data to the internet, right? So the same fear is like now also, right? They don't want the models like GPT and Gemini to extract their private data, which can be easily, like given to the competitor. So they wanted to have a private, locally hosted model, right? So for that, so this kind of open source models can be considered. So we'll be, getting big servers, like say for example, we can just try to get some servers from Rackspace. And this Rackspace, they provide bare metal servers, big bare metal servers with the 512 GB RAM kind of, servers we can get, and then we can try to, host our models there. That is one option. And then another option is, like since I have a lot of Google Cloud credit, so, I can just try to like get some VMs from Google itself, and then I can deploy it there. Google has, several GPU support also. So and their AI platform is very good. Okay, so like we'll be using, like this like AWS and Azure, and as well as Google Cloud. Okay, with respect to infrastructure, along with bare metal servers, so that you get an deployment experience. And these models, so are we going to use only one model? No. So we can actually use multiple models. We can create pipelines using these models. Okay, so just like the DevOps that we used to do in the software development lifecycle to automate it, here also we have these models, the LLM pipelines. So basically, there is something called as a LangChain, which we will explore in detail later. Okay, so using this, we will be creating a pipeline of models, so that we'll be able to combine multiple LLM models to create a more powerful solution. So how to do that? This will also we'll be exploring. And then comes, okay, so this is all about, using the managed model APIs directly, like Gemini and GPT, and getting the open source models and deploying it and using it, so that we have the complete control over that environment. Then combining multiple LLMs by creating a pipeline and then using it, basically the improved version of step 2, sorry, like step 3, right? So this is all about it. Then comes, see, all these models we didn't create it from scratch. Someone has already, created these like models, and we're just using it. We don't know anything about, like actually what is the background, the mathematical algorithm that is involved, what kind of data is used to train that model, and and like what are all the parameters, what is their neural network layers that are used. So those are all like a batch, like, so these are all like a black box. We haven't even explored it, isn't it? So um, say I wanted to take one model and I want to fine tune it for my environment. Okay, so this is where three like kinds of like approaches are available. Okay, so the most easiest is RAG. Okay, so in case of RAG, in simple terms, basically what it means is, say like there is a GPT and Gemini, and here okay, if you try to ask something about your product, or like something that is more like private, they will not know, right? So because and that is not available in the internet. Most of the like models that are available out there, like okay, they are all using internet, the information that is there in the internet to train, isn't it? So any information that is not there in the internet, these like AI models will not be aware of. So we should try to provide our data. So it can be the product data or some documents or some set of images or videos, or even take a source code. Okay, say you have a software and then you need, the like model to understand the source code and guide you in the, in like comprehending and understanding the application, or in debugging or creating unit tests. It can be n number of use cases that a typical software engineer have, right? So how to make it happen? Okay, so we cannot copy and paste a set of code every time we talk with GPT, right? So we need it to understand it and then answer it, and this is where this RAG comes into picture. So the full form is like of RAG is retrieval augmented generation. Augmented generation. So here, what we do is, say we have a model. Okay, so let's say this is our model. Okay, so this is our AI model. And this is the API, right? So it say it has an API exposed, and we try to call that API. Okay, I think someone has to mute. I don't know. I don't have the mute option here. Strange, but just make sure you mute. So yeah, so this AI model, it can be GPT, or it can be Gemini, or it can be any like open source model. Okay, so let's say some kind of model is there, and then we try to invoke one of the API, and we try to make we are just asking some questions. So let's say we are just sending some questions to get answer for a specific problem. So this like model, like actually with the trained data that it has, it will be able to respond. But since the question that we are going to ask is going to be more specific, and it is about something that is not out there in the internet, then okay, what we do is we put that data into a database. Let's say this is the database. So, okay, when I say database, it can be traditional databases, or it can be, like a graph database, like a knowledge base. We can use Neo4j kind of application to create a graph database, or it can be PDFs, or it can be Word documents, or source code text files. It can be anything. Okay, so just like give it. So if the model is aware of it, it will be able to refer to the data that is there here, and it will get the intelligence, basically information from this, and it will use its own analysis, like analytical capability, and it will be able to respond. Okay, so this is about retrieval augmented generation. So the AI models, by default, when you ask something, it will be able to respond. So like when you try to ask some, like specific questions to GPT, okay, so if it doesn't know, it will not, most of the times it will not say it doesn't know. It will try to, like give us some kind of answer, right? Which won't be like relevant at all in some cases. But when you give these kind of, like DBs, so what happens is, like we actually, like give the necessary okay, we actually give the necessary information for that AI model to provide a meaningful response. Okay, so that is what happens here, a very important part, that the database. So when it tries to generate the content, okay, to answer the question that we have asked, basically, okay, it will try to retrieve. This is where the retrieval happens. It will try to retrieve the relevant data from the DB, and it will augment, it will just add it to the information that it already has, and it will generate the response, and the response will be sent back to the user. So here we have the happy user here. Okay, so who will get the relevant response. So that is why it is called as retrieval augmented generation. So the AI model is augmented with the information that we have provided here. Okay, so it will be able to, retrieve the information that we have provided, and it will augment to its knowledge base, already existing trained knowledge base, and it will be able to generate the response, and it will give it to us. So retrieval augmented generation. So this is the easiest, way of customizing a model, the RAG. The very easiest way of customizing an AI model is RAG. Okay. So in fact, for this, we don't have to like put much effort. It's very, very, very easy. So even if if you have the commercial chat GPT, we can create our own like this RAG based models very easily. So let me show you a simple example. One second. Let me give out, actually bring my chat GPT. One sec. There you go. Okay. So here you can see here. Okay. So this is one RAG that I have created using the like GPT. This is the plus account. Okay. So that like $20 to $20 account. So this, in my state in India, Tamil Nadu, there are some like policies with respect to the building, this building construction and approval and all those things, right? So they have a big, like PDF that they put it in the government's website, and I don't have the time or the capability to to analyze and understand the entire document, but I have some real estate problems for the past 1 year, so I want to have a discussion and like know, okay, what are the rules and what I need to do in a particular use case, all those things in a particular situation, how to respond, everything I need to know. So what I did was I just created one RAG. I downloaded that government's document, and then I actually added it to this GPT. It and then I started asking questions, and it was working wonderfully well. Let me show you how this is done. Edit GPT. Okay, there it is. And here you can see the document. This is one PDF, and this is the one PDF. So I have uploaded two PDFs. So this state government in 2019, they like provided that act, so that building management act, and and after like a couple of years, they provided an amendment. Okay, so both I uploaded. And then so actually here I was just telling how that GPT should react and all. Okay, so like what it is expected out of it and everything. Okay, so once I did that, I can just use this and I can start discussing about it. So for example, so I can just try to ask this. So what is the rear setback? I need to provide if my plot width is 60 feet. See, it started searching my knowledge base. So this is retrieval. It is trying to retrieve relevant information from the backend, and now it starts talking. So for a plot with the width of 60 feet, the required rear setback as per the Tamil Nadu's 2019 Act is 6 meters, approximately 19.7. So then I can just ask follow-up questions and I will be able to get all kinds of response out of it. Okay, so this is the kind of information that we'll be able to get when we use RAG. So the same, I also do it with the source code. So this is one of the project that I actually work with. And let me come here to the GPT. And here you can see I have uploaded this source code to it. So I just zip the entire Git repository and I upload it to it. Then I can start asking questions about it. Okay, so this also helps me to understand the code. I don't have to paste the entire code, because these kind of projects, they have like large set of files, so I can't just copy and paste and take care of it. It is a very cumbersome process. So instead I can just set up like this. So what is the file structure of this project? It start analyzing the backend, which is basically the source code, and it'll like give me the explanation. Taking a little more time. Okay, here it is. See, so this is basically a Golang application, and here it talks about the structure. Then from here I can start exploring. Okay, so which is the main file? Where is the main file located? And is there any use case, test cases that are available that I can make use of? What is the text like coverage? All those things we can actually discuss. Okay, so like this gives you the power of RAG, right? So this is like commercially available, but unfortunately Gemini. I haven't like used the Gemini commercial like subscription recently, but 2-3 months back I was just trying it out. This facility was not there. Okay, but someone who is using Gemini paid version now, they can update it. But GPT, the custom GPT has been there for several months, but Gemini hasn't provided that option yet. But even though at the API level they have the capability, but in the app they haven't provided that support. So when it comes to the user interface, like ChatGPT is still doing a very good job. That's what I need. Okay, I can say. Okay, so this RAG is one approach. Okay, now let's go and talk about the next approach, the next level. Okay, so let's say the sixth approach. Okay, so sixth is transfer learning, and seventh is fine tuning, and eighth is our own LLM. Okay, so basically from the scratch LLM development. So in this from the scratch LLM development, we'll be using the existing algorithms. And if you want to even go to the mathematical level, then you can go and start modifying the math algorithm. And suppose say if the from the scratch like LLM development to create the neural network is not even sufficient, then you can go and deal with the math that is associated with the like libraries, and you can start modifying them. Okay, so this is the level. Okay, so most of us are either directly using ChatGPT and Gemini, the graphical user interface from mobile or web, and some might be using this RAG in the like GPT by in the chat GPT by creating the custom GPTs. Okay, so like many of them will fall under this category. Very few might have tried out these APIs. Okay, like these APIs and SDKs to create some small applications might have done, and very few might have tried out this Hugging Face and the model garden of Vertex AI for accessing these open source models, and also Azure OpenAI. Okay, so okay, this is the experience level that I can sense from our student community. Transfer learning, fine tuning, and all are a little bit more involved. So, like, what is this transfer learning? Okay, let's talk about that. Right. Let me change the color of this. The green is not that great. I will go with yellow. Okay. Right. So, what is this transfer learning? Say, like when you're talking about the neural network, so just consider our brain. So there will be several layers. Okay. So in this like neural network, there is something called as input layer. Okay. Let's say this is the input layer. So the like questions that we ask, basically, like actually everything will go into this. Okay. Any kind of interaction that we make with our AI model will go here. Similarly, like for a human, say when you ask a question to another human, so they get the question through the sense organs, and the sense organs sends that input to the brain, right? And once the input goes, then based on that input, several layers of neurons will get involved. Okay, so the first layer will handle it, and from there the second layer will go. So as you analyze deeper and deeper, multiple layers of thinking will happen, and finally the output will come. This is the output layer. Right, this is how our brain also functions, isn't it? So like once we decide how to respond, then we the brain informs the communication components of the human body. Okay, like whether it is eyes or mouth, and then or limbs, and we try to communicate either physically or through words or through body language. We try to communicate, right? So that is the output layer activity. Okay, so from here, the output actually comes, isn't it? So these layers, it won't be two. There will be n number of layers, especially when you take big, huge models, there will be, hundreds of layers. So in case of transfer learning, say a model has been trained on some set of data, okay? But it doesn't have the data that you have, so you wanted to add an extra layer to it. So adding basically inserting some set of extra layers on top of this neural network just before the model, this is like output layer. Okay, this is the new layer that we want to insert, and this is going to have your domain knowledge. Okay, right? So the custom data, like whatever like area that you want to explore, basically it is just like RAG, the so okay, so when I talk about domain, it can be anything, so it can be made about your job related. So your job related information might be there, or let's say you are a student and you are learning mathematics, and you wanted to understand about that book, and the entire school mathematics, and as well as college mathematics and IIT and all those level mathematic data you have, and you wanted to add it to the model itself. You don't want to use a RAG. You want to add the data to the model itself so that the model is trained with that data. So the performance will be better. The reason why RAG is not used beyond a point is every time it has to go to the database and then get the data, and then it has to come and respond. It is not going to, store the data within the model. It has to go retrieve the data based on the question, and then it has to respond, right? So that is going to affect the performance of the response. So hence you can put your domain knowledge, okay, so whether it is about mathematics or whether it is about your project related data and your company related data, it can be industry data, whatever it is, you can add extra layers to the neural network so that it will be able to respond. Okay, this is transfer learning. We are using the model as it is and adding additional layers and we are responding. Okay, but what about the fine tuning? Say the fine tuning is a little bit more involved. Say there are 100 layers are there, and you analyze all the 100 layers and you see that okay, the top 20 30 you don't want, so you want to remove it, and then say I wanted to replace this part with another layer. Say I'm adding a new layer here, right? This is fine tuning. Okay, so that this is the difference in about RAG, transfer learning, and fine tuning. All the three are about using an existing model and customizing it as per your requirement. So you can add new layers to the neural network by introducing your own like knowledge or intelligence, and thereby improving the model. That is transfer learning. Or you can re-architect. You can re-architect some of the layers of the neural network so that you can unlearn something and make it to relearn a different amount of data. Say the model has been trained with some data which you don't want the model to be aware of, so you need to unlearn it. So those layers you need to remove, and you need to add new layers basically containing the information that you want the model to be aware of, right? So you need to retrain the model. So fine tuning involves retraining. Transfer learning also involves retraining, but basically we add extra layers of information, right? So these are all about the neural networks level. So when I go to this so when we go to these layers or these topics, especially when we deal with Gemini and GPT, they have this support, this fine tuning support is all there. So we will try to, they have APIs for it. Okay, we don't have to go to the neural network level, and we don't have to analyze the layers of the neural network and all when it comes to the Gemini and GPT, because they have APIs for that. So we try to use the API and we will try to fine tune it. Okay, that we will be able to make it, and that will give us an experience about how this process can be handled. And when we go and develop our own LLM models, or when we use an existing open source model and when we try to analyze, that is when we go deeper and deeper. Okay, so we'll be using TensorFlow and PyTorch when we create our own LLM models from scratch. Say in your like company someone has created a model, and now you need to, so your company has asked you to take that model, analyze it, and understand the layers of it, and then decide whether to fine tune or do transfer learning methodology and how to improve that model. That is where we need to go deeper. Okay, so if you remember, in our curriculum, let me take the curriculum once. There you go. So here, maybe you need to understand. Okay, there are a lot of like new words in this document, so some of you might have difficulty understanding it. So here, just come down. I was talking about this generative AI, right? We have so encoders and GANs and ways and image generation, text generation, data augmentation, RAG, all those things we actually discussed. But I haven't entered into the transformers or WAG or NAS in depth. We will be covering it later, right? But here you can see, the third topic, before I dived deep into the Gen AI, I started and I had a topic about neural networks, because you need to understand the fundamental of neural networks. What is neuron? What is weights? What is biases? What is activation function? How they impact your model that you're trying to create. Okay, and then the TensorFlow and the PyTorch. See, so here you can check the input. Wait, let me just try to select tool. Okay, see the input layer and the hidden layers. Basically, the hidden layers are layers of the neural network between the input and the output layer. Okay, that is the hidden layer, then the output layer. So this structural understanding is important so that when we do fine tuning and transfer learning, you'll be able to easily grasp the concepts. Then comes how to create the neural networks from scratch, right? And then deep neural networks, CNNs and the RNNs. So like some neural networks are basically used for NLP, and some are used for image analysis. Okay, so those aspects we need to dive and understand, and how to measure the accuracy of the models, how to debug the models if there is, because when we try to like use an algorithm and create a model, if it is a traditional programming, we can just use an IDE, we can put breakpoints and we can step through and we can easily debug and fix the code. But here we are not writing the code, we are providing the data, and there is one already available algorithm is there, and when both are combined we get a new model, right? So and this new model will be able to predict. So if the prediction accuracy is not good, then we need to dive deeper and understand why it is not good. So whether it is in the training data issue, or whether the mathematical like algorithm itself has the issue, right? So that level of debugging has to go there. Okay, but anyway, initially I will not be doing all these things, but as we go deeper and deeper and deeper, like when we try to create our own models, this kind of knowledge is required. Okay, so I'll be like covering CNN, RNN, and then we will go into transformers like encoders and all. We'll be covering like ways and GANs. We will start exploring. That is where we have these auto encoders, and we have ways and we have GANs. Okay, so like this level of exploration will happen later in our training. Maybe we'll be starting after 20-25 sessions. At the time we can go into this level. So but this is what the core of Gen AI is all about. Okay, so here you can see the fine tuning comes, and then I will also be talking about transfer learning somewhere here. See, the transfer learning is also covered. So hope you have understood, or and then here we have the transformer models. Transformer is basically the fundamental like approach of GPT and Gemini and all the other famous LLMs that we have in the industry now. Okay, so this is the like approach that we are going to take going forward. Okay, so we will start with like APIs and SDK of the known models. Then we will do the same thing with open source models, and then later we will. What is this? How can I remove this? Okay, fine. And then we will try to create pipelines, and we will try to use RAG and transfer learning, fine tuning, and all those things. So when we are going to do all these kind of activities, there will be some extra tools that we need to like use. Okay, so especially when we go and develop our own models, like maybe we need to like use or we need to work on some infrastructure level. So like we need to use Kubeflow for MLOps, and we might need to use the existing cloud platforms. Okay, so whether it is AWS or GCP or Azure, we will definitely be touching all these things, right? And then the bare metal servers. So we can either deploy these on the cloud, or we can do it on the bare metal servers, and we'll be doing a lot of coding. Okay, so when we create an end-to-end application, full stack programming will also be involved. Basically, the user interface creation and the DB programming. Okay, we can either use Python or Node.js, and when it comes to user interface, it can be as simple as the HTML and the JavaScript, or we can use React or Angular, and then we can create the front end, and the back end we can use GraphDB or RDBMS or BigQuery. Okay, any kind of databases we can use. So cloud computing and the full stack and all this, the MLOps pipeline or LLM pipeline or even software development pipeline, the DevOps will be automatically involved. That's why I said our main focus will be Gen AI. Okay, but as we travel through that path, we will definitely touch upon cloud, we will touch upon full stack programming, we will touch upon DevOps, everything will be covered, even infrastructure will be touching upon infrastructure also. So this is going to be like involving several technologies. Okay. So definitely, some aspects. So if you are from operation side, you'll be very good in cloud and other operational aspects, but not in programming, right? So just stop me. So this session is going to be more about discussion, right? So whatever like knowledge gaps that you have when we start doing it, just stop me and ask. So that's why we try to keep this group as small as possible. So we have only 10-15 people, like max 20 people, right? So we will have it more like a discussion. And anyway, we have our lab guides and all. And this 1-year program, that we are going to do, um, I am not going to repeat it. Okay. So the plan is we are going to convert this into multiple video programs, and we are going to publish it in platforms like Udemy, but not this discussion. So you can freely, talk here. We're not going to use any of these recordings. These recordings is only for this community. Okay. It will not go outside of this like community unless you share it with someone else. But we will always keep it in our LMS. That's it. But we are going to separately record videos, and we are going to put it into this Udemy. We are planning for at least 10 to 15 like this video titles on Udemy based on our GenAI lab program. Okay. And then there will also be a combined all-in-one lab program will also be there, that will be available in our LMS. So anyone, they can either directly purchase it from us if they are trying to learn it after today. Okay. So I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 sessions they can join to, they'll be able to catch up, but after that it will be difficult for them to catch up. So they can just use that video programs and they can start traveling with us. So that is the plan that we are having. Okay. So either you can listen to this recording, or you can listen to the lab guides that we are going to prepare. Anyway, the like whiteboard is also available. Okay. So this also you can refer, and we have this Udemy. This 20 students, so basically that 10-50 students that we have in this group, you will automatically have access to the Udemy courses also. Okay. So anything that we are going to publish in Udemy, you will be enrolled, you will be invited for free. So you will get ready-made access. Okay. You don't have to pay anything. We will give you free access on the Udemy, and then you will also have access to our LMS also. So whether you use our LMS or Udemy, both are perfectly okay. Okay. But anyway, you will have access to that content either through our LMS or through Udemy. If in case, if like Udemy has some restrictions, we will give you access directly to our LMS, and you will be able to access the same content. Yes, Manish, you have any questions?
Yeah, Rajan. Actually, I was just trying to ask something, but I see that chat option is not enabled here. Is this only for me, or
No. It is like enabled. You can
no?
try
Because
to
I'm
chat.
trying to. I see an error that we are running into an issue. Not able to chat.
Actually, how about others like Ravi and all? Are you able to chat?
Yeah, I will try.
See, like Mukundan is able to send, Rajesh is able to send. Maybe Manish, there might be some issue.
Okay.
You can try to reload.
Yeah,
See.
able to send. Yes.
Yes, Manish. It is working.
Okay, thank you. So I was just about to ask, like in the top of the these steps you mentioned, the first step was prompt engineering.
Yes.
Will you also cover some part of the, like I wanted to have some more exposure on this part?
Definitely. In fact, there are some tools available for prompt engineering. I will try to like cover that. No.
Okay.
And Rajan, for the bare metal server installation, so that is, I mean, everything, it is not like hosted model. So we have to deploy the open source model, we download it and do it. So
Yes.
starting from Linux installation, everything will do from scratch.
Since we are going to get the bare metal server from Rackspace, so the OS will be pre-installed. We don't have to install the OS, but on top of it, everything else we need to install. if we are using the Hugging Face Transformer API, so that is a little bit more easier. We don't be required to deploy the model, but of course, when we are going to scale it, then we need to install the API gateway and all those things. Yes, we need the deployment. Yeah, okay, yeah. So at that time, we can just use a bare metal server and we can deploy the model and API gateway, everything.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, good. So we have discussed a lot about this GenAI, and hope you have got a little bit theoretical or like conceptual understanding. Now let's try to do some hands-on, right? We are always hands-on oriented. Okay. See, when it comes to the lab guide, I already have the lab guide prepared. Okay, so whenever I try to come to the session, I will have this lab guide prepared. But the problem is, like when we start discussing, like I will not be going as per the lab guide. So if someone will be asking the question, I will like jump, or I may try something new. So like what I wanted to do is I will have this like guide here, as a guideline, and then we will try to take our own free-spirited approach. We will discuss whatever we want to discuss, and okay, like whenever we go out of topic, I will make sure that out of topic is also recorded into this lab guide before I upload into LMS. Okay, so so that way we don't have to create the document from scratch, so we will be saving a lot of time. But at the same time, whatever we discuss newly, okay, we will try to put it into the document before we upload it into the LMS. I haven't created the LMS page for this program yet. I've been a little lazy. I will try to do it tonight or early morning tomorrow before I upload the recording. Okay, so that like everything will be ready, and I will share the LMS URL by tomorrow evening, India time. So for US people, by morning your time, you should be having your LMS up and running. Okay. And luckily, like I don't like documentation. So Mukundan, like not Mukundan, like is that Mukesh Garg used to ask me to prepare proper PPT and all during our cloud programs, but I never used to do because I don't like to document. But thanks to GPT and like Chat GPT, now it is making my life easier. So creating more explanation. These are all created by like GPT, So and then I just try to fine tune it and keep only relevant information. Not much will be there. The source code is all mine. Or got from some GitHub location, and then I used to fine tune it so that it is easier for the students to follow. But explanations are mostly from GPT, and so here let me show you an example. See here, this is actually a program. So some I will take it from Google Teams GitHub. They have a lot of code bases available. So I'll just take some relevant code from there and I will put it here. And the explanation, I will be doing it with the help of ChatGPT. Okay, disclosure. But I'll be properly formatting it, and I will be editing it and ensure it has relevant information and no unnecessary ChatGPT stuffs are included. So I will like ensure that it is easy to go through. Okay, that I will ensure. So I'll be putting my time and effort to ensure that like whatever is required to understand is there here. Okay, you don't have to. Of course, if you want, you can always go back to ChatGPT to get extra information. But information that is there in this document will be well rehearsed and tried out, practically tried out, programs. Okay, and also see, so this is the image that I have generated using the Gemini's image generator model. And we also did okay, this is an image that is given by the Google team. So we give this image to the Gemini API, and we try to like use the recognition model to understand that image. And here we have another image. So okay, this image also we have used it for the same purpose, but by using a different SDK. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so basically Gemini is one of the second most widely used model, we can say, after GPT. So this has some set of models. So let me go to the AI Studio of Google Cloud as well as Azure. So both I will open, so you can understand it is not just one model, that we think it is there. Of course, if you are using GPT, there is 3.5, 4, and 4.0, and there is DALI for image processing. But there are other models are also available. Okay, when it comes to OpenAI models. Similarly, when it comes to Gemini, we have Gemini Pro, and Gemini Flash, and Gemini Vision. These are all some models that are there in the Gemini world. So let's try them out. First, let's go to the Google Cloud Console. Open my account. There you go. And let me go to the Vertex AI. There you go. Okay, so here you can go to the Model Garden. Model Garden is available here. You can either use this option, or if you come down, it should be available here. Where is that Model Garden? Here it is, Model Garden. There you go. So it actually has some handful of models available. And here you can see Gemini Pro, Gemini Flash, and Gemini 1.5 Pro and 1.0 Pro, basically different versions. Vision and image. Okay, for the image generation and editing process, we use Imagen. Okay, let me click on Show All. There are 86 such models are available here. See, this is the Meta's Llama model is also available here, right? And the old Palm models are also there. So these are all some of the models that are there, that we can try it out. So this is the model garden of Vertex AI. And then you can see the pipeline is here. And if you need Jupyter Notebook, you can use Workbench. And here we have the prompt gallery. So this is the AI Studio. Okay, so there you can see the speech models and vision models and NLP models, language models are also there. Then you can have the feature store data sets, and we can create drags out of it. Okay, so this is all about Google Cloud's AI Studio. Okay, so we'll be spending a lot of time in this platform as we dive deeper into various use cases. Now let's go into Azure.
So Arjun, do we have to download these models to use it, or
Not required, not required. It's all on the platform. You can directly use it.
so
But
if
when it comes to like open source models that are not here, then we need to, and if we are going to deploy it, then of course we need to download it and we need to deploy it in our platform. As long as you are going to use the cloud platform, you don't have to download it if it is available in their model garden.
Okay, so if I use this model, should I pay for that API?
Yeah, yes, there are some pricings involved. So especially the commercial models, okay, you need to pay as per tokens. We will discuss about the pricing when we take that respective models.
Okay.
Open source anyway, no pricing. But if you are going to host the open source model on Vertex AI Studio, then you need to pay for the infrastructure. That's it. So here I'm in Azure. In Azure, you have something called as Azure OpenAI. So the Gemini models are available only in Google Cloud. You cannot use it away from Google Cloud. You cannot deploy it away from Google Cloud because that is the Google's proprietary model. So you can't use it away from Google. Similarly, when it comes to GPT models, OpenAI's GPT models, You can use it in Azure because Microsoft is a shareholder of OpenAI. So, in Microsoft Azure platform, you'll be able to use that. Additionally, you can also directly use it from OpenAI's, like servers also. They have their own deployment where they have exposed their API. So you can use it that also, right? So here, let me try to create one OpenAI instance, create. Okay, resource group, do you have anything? No, let me create a new resource group. AI demo for students. Okay. Fine. And let's give the name for this instance. My AI 1. Pricing tier, go with standard. If you need full pricing details, you can just click on this. There it gives, see, this is where you get the language model. So for the deployment, whether it is going to be globally exposed or region level API, for everything based on tokens, how much you'll be charged, it's all here. Okay, so there are several models are there. So I was telling that, right? Like most of you might be aware of these models. Like GPT-4, you might be aware of, and GPT-4o, the latest model, which is called as 4 Turbo. Okay, that is there, and 3.5 Turbo, and 4o Mini is mostly available in our mobile apps, right? And come down here, GPT 3.5 Turbo is there. Apart from that, yeah, Babbage and DaVinci. So these two is not publicly exposed. So these are all the base models, that are used for some specialized activities. Then we have DALI for image management. Then embeddings models are there. Okay, I need to talk about tokens and the embeddings and the temperature. Okay, so there are several other parameters are there. So you'll be like, like what is an embedding and vector. All those things we will discuss as we go deeper into fine tuning and deploying the models. Okay, so for now, just have so just be aware that we will be discussing these in detail later. So now coming back here, let me just go ahead and then deploy it. Yeah, all networks. So basically, I am creating my own deployment of OpenAI models. So first, I'm creating an OpenAI deployment environment. So when it is going to be deployed, it is going to use an Azure infrastructure. Okay, so it doesn't take much time. So in few minutes, okay, there you go. It started creating. In few minutes, it'll be up and running.
Which model it is deploying?
No, it is just like creating the environment. We are not deploying any model. We need to, so this is basically an AI Studio instance. So we need to open this AI Studio, and there we need to select the model to deploy.
Okay.
Actually, some of our students were asking the first session as a demo session, but we said no, first session we are not going to make it as a demo session. The reason is whenever we make the first session as demo session, psychologically, I'll be focused on the students who haven't not enrolled yet. So I will be trying to impress them instead of focusing on people who have trusted and enrolled into the program. Okay, that is the reason I kept and I said that okay, no demo, is there, but I'm just thinking, okay, this session alone, this 2-hour recording, I will try to share it with the other students and their friends. Maybe I can just put it into the YouTube and I can give the link to them, so that they can try to understand the training approach and what we are going to cover. Right? Basically, we like discussed about the conceptual aspects and all today, right? So they can just understand, and maybe if they want to join us, they can join. So I haven't invited them into the live program, but I will share the recording with them, right? So I hope everyone are okay. And I will also put it into the YouTube and I will share the links with you also. So you can also share it with your friends. Maybe if someone wants to join, they can join. The reason is they can't join later. Okay, maybe they can join next week after going to the 2-hour recording. But if the recording becomes bigger, they cannot catch up more than 1 or 2 sessions. It's very difficult, right? First session, yeah, they can do it because mostly it's all about conceptual discussion. But once we go into hands-on, catching up requires a lot of discipline. Not possible. So the first session alone, I will share it with everyone else like a demo program, without like sacrificing the focus on our enrolled community. So currently we have only 2 live programs running. One is on Saturday. That is a very old program, but we are going very slow on that. So there we are covering the basics and all. We have only a handful of students there. And this training, okay, that's it. I'm not doing training like I used to do before. There you go. Go to the resource. So here we have the Azure OpenAI instance. Now we can open the studio. See, Azure OpenAI Studio, click on it. The studio instance will open. There we can deploy the models. And they also have, so before deploying, you can also try it out. Okay. So they have a chat interface for various models. You can try it out maybe later. Okay. So there you can see models. And you can like select which model you wanted to deploy. Let's say I wanted to deploy a simpler model. This one, yeah. So just select this and click on deploy. This will be deployed. Once you deploy, this will come in the deployment section. Then you can set up an API key, and you can, from your application, you can invoke the API of this deployment. So there will be one deployment URL will be there, and you can authenticate with that API key, and you can access that model. Okay, so this is the available models, and when you deploy it, you can just select which model you want to deploy, and you can deploy, or you can create a customized model. You can fine tune it, and you can deploy. Okay, so here you can have your data files for fine tuning purposes. And here you can see the chat interface is also available. So in this chat interface, you'll be able to choose the model. Let's create one model here. Say test one. So I can select which model I wanted to use. Say I wanted to use 3.5 Turbo, and which model version I wanted to use. So this kind of selection is not there in our ChatGPT public version, right? Or ChatGPT Plus. In both, we don't have this level of control. So you can select the version here. Okay, there are several versions over there. And the deployment, where is that? Sorry. Test one. Don't click outside. This window gets closed. Okay, so in which region you wanted to deploy, and the tokens per minute, rate, and all these things, I just leave it as default. Click on create. Actually, before it used to have pre-deployed models, but now we are deploying it from scratch. Okay, so there it is. And then you can also decide on the parameter. This is what I was talking about. The temperature, and the top P, and max tokens. All those things we can actually control from here. And then you can start discussing. Say, okay, what is generative AI? Click. Oh, okay. I haven't deployed it. Wait. Export setup. prompt. Okay. A deployment of this resource does not exist. Blah blah blah. Clear chat. View code. This is about using that. Okay. See, this is the API key I was talking about, and this is the public URL of your endpoint. So using this, you'll be okay. If you are using REST API, you need to send the request to this, and you need to use the API key for authentication, and you need to proceed further. Okay, so you'll have a session for that, later. So today I didn't plan to cover these aspects. Just I wanted to show you. It's all available. Okay. So this temperature and the top P and these things basically, what it means is under tokens. Let's talk about tokens. So if you take about this English language, the smallest part of the language is the alphabets and numbers, right? A to Z and 1 to 9, 0 numbers and alphabets are the building blocks of the English language. Okay, but when we communicate, we don't use the individual letters or numbers. Instead, we use words. So words is the smallest component when it comes to the conversation, and then forms the sentences and paragraphs, and that's how it all goes, right? Okay, but when it comes to this Gen AI, so the AI models, they are all mathematical models. Okay, so what happens is this words are split into tokens. Okay, we can just call it like some kind of numerical representation, right? Okay, so say for example, if we have a word called as authentication, okay, they might split it into three: auth, then cation. They can split it into three, and each one can be a token. Okay, so and when it comes to the pricing, the number of tokens that we have provided as input, a number of tokens the model has generated as output. Okay, like everything will be combined and counted, and finally they will be creating the bill for us. When it comes to networking, say you are having a leased line, or say you are on a pay as you go model, as say we have a normal broadband. Now it is unlimited, but in those days we used to pay for GBs, right? So depending upon the usage, the input and like output bandwidth usage, we used to pay for the network usage, right, for the internet. Similarly, okay, when we are going to deal with these kind of hosted models, we will be paying based on tokens. That's why in the pricing that we discussed before, you might have seen this tokens per 1,000 tokens. For every 1,000 input token, you will be paying this much. For every output 1,000 tokens that the model generates and provides as a response for you, you'll be paying this much. Okay, the input is little less, but output is little more. Okay, this is for 1,000. Then okay, so similarly, like when it comes to the Gemini API, they give it in millions, I think, not thousand, but in millions. But the rates are almost the same. Whether it is GPT or Gemini, they almost charge the same. This is what the token is. And temperature. When we are going to discuss with the models, how the response you want to be, whether you want that to be creative or you want that to be formal and to the point and predictive. So how you want. Okay, so that creative scale is the temperature. Okay, so whether you like want say like every time you like communicate with the model, you want to have a different response with the creative like viewpoints, then you adjust the temperature. So you can just see here, there is one I, right? See, controls the randomness. Lowering the temperature means that the model will produce more repetitive and deterministic responses. Okay, more predictive, more formal kind of response. Increasing temperature will result in more unexpected and creative responses. Right, so this is the temperature. Along with that, you can also deal with top P. The top P is about the words on the tokens that it is going to use. So if you wanted to use different kinds of words and all, then you play with the top P. So temperature and top P goes hand in hand. to find, to just adjust the model's response approach. Got it, Mukesh?
Yes, thanks, Rajan. So basically, these are the two parameters you can control in getting a more accurate response.
Yes. And then here we have the max response, also called as max tokens, how verbose or how crisp you want the output to be. So basically you can just decide on the tokens. Okay, so if you need large response, increase the max response count. Here you can see, set the limit on the number of tokens per model response. The API supports a maximum of max tokens placeholder do not translate tokens, and we can adjust it, and then we can manage the output. That is the max response token. Okay, so with this we'll be able to fine tune. Whenever you're going to call the model, you can pass all these parameters and you can get the response that you desire. This is the level of control that you get when you go to the API level. But these kind of things we will not get when we are dealing with the chat interface level. But here, we don't have any kind of that controls, right? There is no temperature, there is no top P, there is no max tokens. Nothing is there in the ChatGPT interface. Same with Gemini interface also, right? But at least with ChatGPT interface, I'll be able to attach multiple documents. I think I can attach 10 or 20 documents to this, right? But when it comes to Gemini, I can't, and I can't attach PDFs. I can only attach the images. So Gemini interface is very limited, but GPT is much more verbose. Lot of support is there. I like GPT more, especially the user interface.
So Rajan, that means GPT is using the RAGs approach, whereas Gemini is not using RAG.
The application, actually, this is application, the user interface. Like the Gemini also has all the capabilities of GPT, but it exposes through the API level. But when it comes to the Gemini user interface, it is not. No, they are not exposing all the functionalities. That is the problem.
Okay, got it.
Maybe the Microsoft, since they are very good in user interface, this experience, maybe they have put lot of effort, inputs for having much more wonderful interface. That's what my feeling is. But both has the capability. Okay, so I will be showing you both has wonderful capabilities. Okay, so here comes our hands-on approach. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are trying to invoke a Gemini Pro 1.0 model, and we will try to play around. Okay, so here you can see I'm using the curl command, and this is the post where the curl basically is using HTTP, right? So I'll be using the post method of HTTP to invoke the API, and here is the authorization. So for the authorization, so since these are all commercial models, they don't give you anything for free. So we need to authenticate. So to authenticate here, I'm getting my Google Cloud token, access token. So I have the G Cloud SDK installed in my computer. So I do the G Cloud auth login, and I authenticate myself. Then I get the access token, and using that I authenticate the REST API. There is another approach. You can create an API to key, and that also you can actually provide. That I have shown you in the next example. And here the content type is actually going to be JSON, and this is where the endpoint URL comes. So every region has one AI platform endpoint for Google Cloud, Vertex AI. So here you can see I'm actually using the US Central. So it will be like US Central -AI platform.googleapis.com. That is what going to be the AI platform URL. Then, okay, so now that is going to be the endpoint. Then I need to provide the project and the location and the model that I'm going to deal with. The model that I'm going to deal with is the Gemini Pro model, and I wanted it to stream the generated content. Okay, that is so basically there are two approaches. One is we can use stream, another one we can use no stream. No stream means it'll wait until it creates the complete response and it sends it to us in one go. But when you decide to stream, as you know, as soon as it has some info, it'll immediately send it to us. It will not wait until it completes answering. So later, when I go to the Python, I have two examples: stream example and non-stream example. Where is that? API image recognition or this? Okay. Here you can see. So I have one chat application created with streaming and without streaming. Both I will show you how it works. But here, I have it set up with streaming option. And this is where our prompt engineering comes. Okay, whatever question that you're going to ask, okay, you need to give it here in the content. Okay, so you need to tell what is the role that you wanted to play. I will talk about more about these roles. System role is there, user role is there. How you want the system to behave. Say you want the GP, the Gemini model to act like say a teacher, say a football coach. So it will assume that role. Then whenever you ask, you need to say, okay, you are asking it like a user. Then you can ask the questions to it and it will be answering like a football coach. Okay, like that you can do the prompt engineering. So the prompt engineering here is much more in depth. Okay, how to customize your interaction with the model so that okay you will get the relevant answer. Okay, so that we'll be discussing as we go deeper and deeper into the models. Maybe next session I will try to cover that in depth. So here I'm just asking it a simple query: why the sky is blue? Since it is streaming, it will be sending me answers bit by bit as it starts generating the tokens. So here model is going to responding. Sky appears to blue due to the phenomenon called as Rayleigh scattering. Here is the breakdown. And here it talks about this safety rating. This is nothing to do with the response. It is basically about controlling the response. So how safe you want the AI model to be. These things you can actually control, the severity of it. So this is the default setup. I will talk about that later. This is the API level stuff. Don't worry about it for now. See the first one, sunlight and the actual atmosphere. Sunlight is composed of all the colors of the rainbow. Then the second you comes here, like each of the different waves. So basically just giving part and part of the response. If you just come down here, you can see. And if you add everything together, you will get the actual response. Okay, this is the streaming part. So, so this is just to show how you can use the curl command to directly access the REST API. Then we have something called as Google AI Studio. There is Vertex AI, which I have shown you before. Then we have this AI Studio. In this AI Studio, this is this new GenAI Studio. So here you can create an API key. So when you create an API key, you don't have to have any local Google Cloud an SDK installed and all. Just use the API key and you can directly invoke it. So here you can see I am using the same curl command to invoke the same Gemini Pro, but the call is a little different. So this is the API key that I've generated. So here I have hidden. Whenever you are going to create your key in your account, don't share it with anyone else, because these are all commercial models. And when you share it with others, okay, see, as long as they're just trying out with 10, 15 requests, no problem. But when they start using it commercially, then you will be paying for their usage. So even this is not an actual key. So you need to create your own key. Okay, this is just a simple actually I got my actual key and I modified it. Okay, because I know this document will land in others' hands also. Okay, so I am little safe here, and you should also follow the same approach. This is like sharing the password. Be very careful with it. See here, do not share them or embed them in code the public can view, because this has to be kept securely, right? So, okay, in the previous curl command, we had authentication, but here we don't have the authentication header. We have only the content type, right? And then we provide the user role and we give the request, like give me 5 sub categories of jazz music. And the API is also a little different. Generative language, Google APIs. We are not using Vertex AI here. We are like directly using the Gemini, like model. see Gemini Pro, and then we give the key here. The authentication key is part of the API. So this is different and that is different. The API, approach is a little different here. And we get the output. See, and here, if you see, there is no streaming. We get the response in one part. And here it gives us the answer. So these are the two approaches that you can follow, right?
So Rajan, one question here. So
yeah,
this
please.
curl command we have to execute in command prompt, but how come the query and response both are in the same curl command?
No, this is the query, and the response is here. The one that is not
okay.
in bold is the response. The thing that is in bold is our
Query.
maybe
I mean a request,
right? Yes. Okay. Let
Okay.
me just put it like this. Okay. Now it is clear, right? I will just change it the color coding.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the response, and this is our command.
So one other question is this.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the models which are shown in this OpenAI, right? It won't contain any Google Gemini model, right? On OpenAI, that model repository, right? There are so many GPTs for
Yes.
many. They
Yes.
want to keep Google
No.
models.
No. Like the Azure platform will have only OpenAI models, and Google's platform will have only Gemini models. You cannot see GPT models in Google. You cannot see Gemini models in Azure.
Yeah, but there are some meta models. Llama
that is open source. You can even
okay.
download and deploy it in your local computer.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
There was another question, right? Someone was talking.
Yeah. Hi, it's Faisal here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Please.
Yeah. So regarding the safety ratings, can we use them in the request URL?
Request URL means like
this saying, right? Can you scroll down the safety ratings? It says, right, negligible. How can we use more? Like, how can we check like these ratings are coming in response, right?
Okay. So, let me just talk about this a little bit. See, when we get the response, okay, so, sometimes, especially say you are using these models in an application that is used by kids. So you need to ensure that, so whether that response has these kind of characteristics. Okay. So you can check on the probability. Okay. So there are probability ratings. So like if it is more inappropriate for that kind of community, you can check these flags and you can decide whether to use that response or you can just retry the API call with the different set of parameters. We can actually control the safety ratings. When say the response, the target audience is more matured adults, then we can be a little bit more like open and we don't have to be restrictive. But when it comes to kids and all, we need to be very, very careful. Say you are having one learning management system for schools, then you need to be more careful, right? So that can be controlled using these flags.
Okay. Fine.
And here we get the token counts. So the request that we have done, how many tokens it has used. So the prompt token is the input token, and this is the output token. Totally 31 tokens. Okay. So accordingly, we'll be billed. So for every request, you will be able to get it. So you can also store it locally in your audit database, and when you get the final bill, you can validate it with the logs that you have. Okay. So this is basically the SDK. So as I said, there are two SDKs out there. One is you can use the Google Cloud's Generative AI SDK. And then here you need to use the API key that you have created in the AI Studio here. Okay, I'll be showing you, how to do that. So that you can have it in one environment variable. Don't hard code the API key. The best thing is have it in a vault. Okay, you can either use HashiCorp Vault. There are several vaults, or there even Azure has a vault, and Google Cloud has a vault. Every cloud platform has a vault, or you can use HashiCorp Vault. Okay, so or some third-party cloud like vaults are there. Just take those vaults and store it there. Okay, don't hard code these keys. They are like as equivalent to our passwords, so don't share it. So you can just fetch it. So here I have stored it in an environment like variable. So I am reading it and I am configuring the GenAI instance with that API key. And I'm giving this image. The image that I'm going to use is this one. This is the image that I'm going to give it as an input. And I am asking it, this is the prompt that I am giving, what is in this photo? So I want it to analyze the photo and explain to me what is there in the photo. The model that I'm using is Gemini 1.5 Flash. Okay, so it is like a turbo model. And here I get the response. The photo shows a winding road that goes through a beautiful green valley. There are many trees lining the road and the hills are rolling in the distance. The sky is a beautiful orange pink color, suggesting it is a sunrise or sunset. The photo is likely taken in Tuscany, Italy, which is known for its beautiful rolling hills and picturesque countryside. So here you can see, it is able to recognize the image, the various aspects of the image, and it is able to provide us the text output. Now you can use the text to speech and you can convert this into speech. That is where pipeline comes into picture. Okay, so you take an image, convert it into text, and then you can use text to speech. That API is also like available in Vertex AI, and you make it to, speak to us. And you can put everything into an application. So okay, actually, this doesn't have to be like an application like a ChatGPT. It can be like a customized application that you create for the business. So there you can use vision like APIs, like image APIs or video APIs, and you can analyze it. You can create the text, and you can make it to talk. The application can talk to the like user. So it can be like, say there is one customer support application that you have created, and the user is reporting a problem, and they have sent some images. That image, as they send, immediately our application can look into it, analyze it, and it can respond. And that respond, it can, like talk to the user by using the speech to text. So, like we can try to create a customer support professional just with a software, as we have the knowledge base also available, so they can do a better job in the long run, because most of the customer support professionals, they are very limited, right? They are, everyone are human. But when it comes to the AI, like as we fine tune or as we use RAG, so the combination of fine tuning and RAG, if we just start incorporating into the application, it will have the current data, and as well as the old data can be put into the model, and it'll be able to respond, and speech and everything can be involved with video and image. So the customer satisfaction will be far better. So the chatbots is will be as equivalent or even better than a human like support personnel. Okay, as we go further. So these kind of like the business use cases can be implemented as we go into the API. We haven't even started going into machine learning and AI. Just with the API and the models, you can see the power that we can put into the applications that we can create. And the same image recognition, example here, I'm doing it with Vertex AI. Let me enlarge it a little bit.
Regarding the text speech and the image, what it describes, and can it be in different languages or just in English?
Yes. No. It supports different language. When you're actually going to provide your prompt, you can ask it to give it in your local language. Say, since my mother tongue is Tamil, I can ask it to explain in Tamil, and the local community can easily understand.
So it will give out in Tamil text, or it will be in English with Tamil
Tamil text. Tamil text. Unicode.
Okay. Interesting. Great.
So here So this code disclaimer, this I got it from the Google like Cloud Teams GitHub repository. Okay, so they have a lot of code as I said, but sometimes it might be overwhelming. But I will try to cover all the examples that they have provided. They have done a fantastic job making my job easier. So I'll be taking code from their GitHub and then I'll be like customizing it a little bit. Here also I did some little bit of customization. And then I have actually executed, tested it, and then I will be like giving it to you. Okay. So in fact, I'll be using ChatGPT. I'll be using all the code that is available in the GitHub. I'll be using all the documentation, and I will be testing it. I will be creating a training material, and I will giving it to you, and I will explain it. Before this ChatGPT, what I used to do was, say, for example, OpenStack. When I was providing the OpenStack training, I used to download all the books and as well as the like manuals. I will read in and out. I will try out all the APIs, all the use cases. I used to prepare the documentation. Then I used to give it to you, right? The same thing I did for even for the Kubernetes and other technologies. But now the time that is required for me to do that activity has been drastically reduced thanks to this AI technology. But still, the effort is all the same. Okay, so like, whatever I am doing, the people who have not enrolled in this program, they can very well do. But do you have the time that I have? Since I run it as a business, I can, I used to spend around 20 to 40 hours every week just to like create the content for my students. But since the people who are actually who can't put that much of effort to create this content, so those are the people who take our trainings, right? They're smart. They can save a lot of time. Okay, so that is the difference here. So as I said, this is actually from the Google Teams code. Let me explain what it is done here. So this is using the Vertex AI SDK. Previously, we were using Google's GenAI SDK. This one is Vertex AI SDK. Here you can see, it is using an object called a generative model, and we are providing the model name that is the Gemini 1.0 Pro Vision. And then here we provide the URL of the image and the prompt. And then once you call that, it will give us the response. So we have seen how to use the REST API, how to use the generative AI SDK, and as well as Vertex AI SDK. All the three I have shown you only in the document. I haven't executed this yet. Let's execute and see, right? Let me just move it aside. Okay. Wait. I have one on like Linux machine. There I have everything set up. Let me open it. But you can use it in Windows also, no problem. I used to switch between Linux and Windows, but but whatever I'm doing, you can do it in all platforms, Mac, Linux, Windows, everywhere you can do. Now the computer that I'm using is very old computer, so I used to use this server, which is a little bit better. This is also old, but it is still working well and has better capability. It has i7, but my laptop has i7, but a smaller i7. So CPU capability is a little less. So I prefer to use Linux machine whenever possible. Okay. But don't worry about it. The platform doesn't matter. Okay. So I will just copy. So I'm just trying to run the first part here. So I'll be executing all these commands one by one. No extra steps. If there is any extra steps, I will immediately bring the document and I will update it before I give you the document. Okay, so the first is project. So this is the project in my Google Cloud. So here in my Google Cloud, if you see, I have one project, RTC AI. Okay, so in case if you are using your Google Cloud account, copy your project ID. Okay, so don't use the same project ID that I'm using here. Replace it with your project ID. Maybe in the document, I will highlight it in red so that you can easily handle it.
Rajan, how can I log in to my Google account from my system using CLI?
Good question. So basically, you need to use this Google Auth login command. Okay. So anyway, you have the ChatGPT. Just ask, and it will give you the command. Okay, that is one advantage.
Right.
So for all interactions, ask ChatGPT or like Gemini first, and if they are not able to give you the convincing answer, directly okay. The like next stop is you can directly ask me in the chat during the weekdays.
Sure.
So next is let's give the location. So basically, the model is deployed in several regions. Okay, so to which region we want the send the API call to. So here I am sending it to US Central region. To that data center, the request will be sent. Then what is so in that data center, there is one API gateway which will be receiving this request. So that API gateway location. So let me do an echo of that. See, this is the actual URL. US Central 1 AI platform, googleaps.com. So this is the API gateway that is going to receive your AI like request, and it will be responding. Okay. So this is the server location. Now next, what is the model that I'm going to use? So the model that I'm going to use is going to be the Gemini Pro model. Not it is the old model, Gemini 1.0. The new model is 1.5 version. The old model is 1.0. Okay, so just like ChatGPT 3.5 and 4 and 4.0, similar to that. Now I'm going to call the API. So let me paste that command here. So this is the command. So here is the curl command, and this is the post method. The same API, we will also try to run it from like Postman. And then next you can see the authorization header. So if you are using the API key, the second example that I shown you in the document, there I didn't use the CLI. I was using the API key by actually with the help of Google's AI Studio. So if you're using that approach, then you don't have to give this authorization header. But if you're using the like Google Cloud, like CLI in your local computer, and if you're not having the like that like API key from the AI Studio, then you can use this approach. Both are perfectly okay. Then here is the endpoint URL. That's the endpoint and the project that you're dealing with. So all the calls will be built to this project. So whenever in this like Google Cloud, the billing will happen at the project level, right? So your charges will be added to this project, and the location and the model and the output is going to be streamed. And here is the prompt. Now press enter. You will get the response. See, there you go. Why the screen is the sky is blue? Here you get the response. Sky appears blue due to this phenomenon, and come down, and it interacts with the air molecules. So when you're streaming, basically, so say for example, you're using the streaming approach. Why you need to use the streaming approach? You don't want the user to wait. Right. So as it generates the response, immediately you can give the response to the user. You don't have to collect all the response, wait, and give it to the user. Okay, sometimes the user might feel like why the system is so laggy. It is not laggy. It is taking, it is a big model and it takes time to collect the response. Okay, so like instead you can just stream and give the response immediately. You don't have to make the user to wait. That is why we use the streaming. But no streaming approach is also there. Say the user knows that okay, system is not laggy, but it doesn't want to get such a big JSON listing. Then we can wait, like make it to collect everything together and give it as a single response. Okay, that is also possible. Vangal, any question?
Yes, Rajan.
Yes, Venkat.
So we are executing these curl commands through the terminal, right? Can't we do this with the Postman or any kind of a tool? It's kind of a API call itself, right?
Yes. Basically, it is a graphical user interface. That's all.
Okay. So if you don't mind, can we show it from the Postman so that how we can use the authentication
Yes.
and all things?
Yes. Okay. Okay, there you go. So, okay. Post, right? The method that we used is post. Let me come here. Go to this command. Okay. So here, the method that we used is post. That's why we have selected post here. Then we need the URL, right? So the URL where it is, this is the URL that we have used, isn't it? So what I will do is I will just do an echo so that all the variables are replaced. There you go. So now the URL, the API endpoint has to be replaced, project ID variable has to be replaced, location has to be replaced, modality has to be replaced. So here we have the replaced content here. Let me copy this, copy link and paste it here. See, this is the location and this is the project and this is the model. Everything is replaced. Okay, so this is the URL. And next we have the headers, authorization, bearer, and here is the token. The token is actually this one. Just take this token, maybe the header as it is. Authorization header, copy this, bring it here. Authorize, I can do it in headers. Here is the header. Let me try to add it here. I never tried Gemini with Postman. This is the first time I'm trying. Mostly I use curl or SDK. Content type. JSON. There you go. And okay, the URL we have given, headers we have given, and method we have given. Next, we need to provide the content. Let's go to the body and form data. I think we need to give raw JSON. Yeah, good. Copy this. Paste it here. All good, right? Yeah, yes. Ensure they are aligned so that we didn't make any mistake. I think it's good. We can send it. See, we got the output.
Oh yeah, the streaming part I want to see in Postman. So that's nice.
Same, whether we use curl or Postman, the output will be the same.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Rajesh.
Okay.
So Rajan, so this is a hosted model, right? The Gemini Pro 1.0.
Yes, this is a hosted model in Vertex AI.
So for this we use API key. Let's say if some open source model I use here and deploy it manually in Google, and for that also API key will be there.
Okay, so like since it is going to be the open source model and we are going to deploy it and we are going to set up the API gateway, we will be deciding whether how to handle the authentication. We can make it publicly available. Then there is no authentication required. But if we want to monetize it, because we are going to pay Google Cloud for the hosting, then we can have the authentication set up and we can make the users pay for it. So then, like we can generate API keys for them and we can give it to them and they can use the API key when they're sending the request to our gateway and we can validate and we can accordingly build them.
Okay, sure, thanks. And we can also deploy, right? Like that here, I mean, we'll see,
of course,
right?
Yes.
From open source model, we will deploy it.
Yes. We'll be doing it.
Okay, thanks.
I will be trying to delay that, like until I make sure that you are all comfortable with all the aspects of Gemini and GPT, so that so when we go and show that, okay, it actually should be like just like that. You should easily understand. Like like anyone who wants to learn object-oriented programming, at least in my experience, when I started object-oriented programming in 90s. I started with C++. Okay, so first I learned C. So I was all in functional approach. Then I went to C++. I was using C++ as C. and the C++, the programming language book written by the Johnny Stostrap, so that I read, nothing went into my head. Object programming, I was just thinking, what is this? CV and C++ are all the same. Then I learned Java. Java, there is no functional programming, it is only object programming. There I understood what is inheritance, what is polymorphism, and everything I understood in and out. Then I went to C++. It was like, aha, okay, C++, this is what it is. Then I loved C++ a lot. We have more control in C++ because we have object pointers and all those things, right? So I enjoyed C++. So similarly, if I directly go into this open source models and the transformer, algorithms and all those things, it will be like, a C programmer trying to understand C++ approach of programming, and because there is a big paradigm shift, right, from functional to object-oriented programming during those olden days. So similarly here, I wanted to ensure that you learn Java first, that is Gemini and GPT, so that how these LLMs, these big commercial LLMs work, at least how they interact, what features they provide. Then when we go into the open source LLMs, or when we try to create our own LLMs, we know what features it has to be there. Like, even though we are not going to introduce any new features, at least it must have the commercially available features that is provided by these big companies, right? So that is what I'm trying to use here. Okay, as like I personally felt that is more effective, so we'll be using the same approach.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go. So we have seen this API part, right? Okay, now let's try this Google Cloud API, that AI Studio API. One sec, come here. I already have one API created for this documentation. I will delete that and I will create a new one. Okay, so this part is what I'm going to show. I'm going to go to this URL. We will create one API key. We'll use that API key and call the API. I already have the API key set up in my environment, so I can directly invoke that curl command. Let me try to invoke. Then later I will show you how I created that API key. So there you can see curl -h content type. So here I didn't provide the authentication header. And the contents, the user and the prompt, it's all the same. The URL, generative language, googleapis.com, models, Gemini Pro. So this is another API gateway. Okay, the one that we used before is a different API gateway. Both are same models. Both are like Gemini Pro. Okay, but two different instances. They have different deployments within the Google Cloud itself. And here you can see I'm using the Gemini API key, which I have stored it in my environment, the shell environment. Now, since I wanted to keep it secure, I'm not exposing it here, but here you can see I got the response, just like I showed it in the documentation. So here we have it, right? The same output we have got it here.
So where did you mention the model name and all here?
Model name is see here, Gemini Pro.
Oh, okay. One version is not there. Okay.
Yeah, it will be using the latest one.
Okay. Yeah.
Now let me show you how I created this API key. Come here. https://ai-studio.google.com/app/API key. Enter. This URL is there in the document. So now, see, this is for dealing with Gemini. So click on Get API Key. Every step is documented there. So you can blindly follow it. See, this is already there. This is my old key that I used in the previous example. I created today before the session. Now click on Create API Key. Got it. And here you need to provide the project against which the calls will be billed. I will select the same project and I have to click on the create key. Once I click on create key, I will get the API. That okay, API key will be available. Let me show it to you, no problem. Okay, I will delete it immediately, right? There you go. This is the API key. Just take this API key and you can use it in your CLI. So here, I will directly replace it. Let me remove this variable and put that key, enter, it should work. See, if the API key is incorrect, I'm just putting some junk, it should create authentication problem. There you go, invalid API key. So only if you have the proper API key, it will work. Otherwise, it will not work. Now refresh. Here, okay, I have two API keys. Which one? Okay, both are in the same project. I don't know which one is which. Okay, I will delete both. Okay, got it, right? So this is how we actually use the curl command and we deal with it. I think I have consumed the entire 2 hours. Okay, so we have just started, like today is the first session, and in the first session itself, so actually we have like realized that we have discussed a lot, but there are a lot of things that are in API, the GenAI. When I was introducing the this program, some of the students here, they were asking why 1 year? It is just GenAI, ChatGPT. What are you going to discuss for 1 year? Okay, in the first session itself, we have discussed so much, and I am telling you, this is not even ABC. Okay, it's just A. So much is there in this AI. Okay, we will take our own time and we will be covering each and every aspect of the AI in depth. Great, right? Okay, so as usual, I will try to update our index.xml. Sorry, the XLS. 4th August 2024. Topic covered: Gen AI concepts and studios, AI studios. We covered both Azure and GCP, little bit, intro. What is what I just covered, and Gemini, model, API, invocation. We did it using curl postman, right? So this is what we covered. And I will upload the document. Let me put the document name here. So for new students, basically how it works is whenever like as we go further with the training, okay, so there will be several recordings. At the end, you should be having around 52 recordings will be there. And if you want to listen to one specific concept, you can't listen to all these 100 hours of training, right? You need to just go to that specific recording and see that, right? So for that, this index will be very helpful. We will be specifying what topics we are covering, when we are covering, and what is the corresponding PDF, the lab guide that I showed you, that will be stored in the PDF. All you can download and keep it. Okay, so you can just open that PDF and you can refer. And if you want to see the corresponding recording, just open the recording and you can look into it. Anyway, the recording is downloadable. Download it and you can just drag to that specific location, and you can listen only to that specific part of this session. Okay, so that is how we are organized. Anyway, we have only 1 or 2 new students here. Mostly are all old students, so no problem. But still, just for their benefit, I'm just telling you that. Okay, so the new student, I think Sushant and who else? I think only Sushant is here. Rest are all old, I think. Okay, so Sushant, once the LMS is up, I will give you the URL and I will have one-to-one meeting on Monday or Tuesday, and I will show you, how to navigate through the LMS. It's just a simple SharePoint site. Okay, you'll be able to easily catch up in 5 minutes. Let me put the file name here. Yeah, that's it. The file name starts with 020 instead of 010 because initially I was thinking about covering GPT first. So the GPT is 010. But later, after this, realizing my Google Cloud credit is about to expire in another 4 weeks, in 4 sessions, I switched to Gemini and I started talking, documenting Gemini. That's why this we're starting with 0 to 0. Otherwise, it will always be 0, 1, 0. Okay, fine. So let's stop here and see you in the next session then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Rajan.
Thank you.